Moonfall Ultimate is an indie 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up action RPG set in an industrial gothic universe. The game is available now on all platforms, PC, PS4, Xbox, and the Switch. This review will be for the Switch version only, as I have not played the other platforms. It currently is having a special release sale, which is 20% off the original 13. So, let's check it out. The game starts with little exposition as you play a new recruit for the Empire who is sent to the front lines to fight off the threat of invading savages. Other than the intro that quickly sets up the backstory of a once prosperous empire, its king, and the mysterious resource of Lunarium, you will also find secret messages scattered throughout the levels that shed more light on the backstory. I feel the story was one of the biggest letdowns for me. The game's website has way more intriguing information that was not mentioned in the game at all. You can choose to play as one of three classes: the Vanguard, which is your warrior, the Elemental Engineer, which is a typical mage, and the Shadow, which is similar to a rogue. Each time you level up, you receive one stat point and one skill point to allocate the way you want. For stats, you can choose between Strength, Mind, and Agility. Strength increases your total health, health regeneration, and physical damage. Mind increases your mana regen, and spell damage. And Agility increases your critical hit chance, cooldown reduction, and armor. You can choose to dump all your stat points into one or balance them around. The skill tree allows you to gain powerful active and passive abilities. There are 4 different active abilities for each class, and similar to the stat points, I enjoyed the freedom to build the character to suit my playstyle. One thing common about the skill points and abilities is that you cannot reset stats or skill points once you spend them. This isn't generally a problem if your first playthrough is on easy or normal difficulty. Of course, the mind stat isn't going to be as useful to a warrior, and there are some abilities that are more useful than others, but learning is part of the enjoyment. Another important aspect of any ARPG is the loot, and in Moonfall you collect vials of Lunarium off enemies that are used as the game's currency. Enemies also drop HP and mana potions, which you can hold up to 8 of each. While abilities have a cooldown, potions do not. Weapons and armor are only found in chests or can be purchased at the town hub before or after a mission. Potions and accessories can also be purchased from a vendor, but easy and normal difficulties can be beaten with just the items you find. Items in chests appear to be randomized, as sometimes you will get lucky and get a unique item from one chest, but replaying the same level again will most likely give you a common item. Weapons and armor have a variety of different effects, such as doubling critical hit chance, or increased experience. The first 30 minutes of the game is definitely the hardest for each class, as you don't have any potions or skills to survive. The Vanguard class is the easiest class to play as they have the highest health, an AoE attack that stuns enemies, and a unique power bar that increases your health regeneration as you deal damage. Each class has their own unique power bar. The Elemental has a bar that is split in 2 directions. As you use fire spells, it goes in one direction, giving melee weapons fire enchantment to deal bonus fire damage and a chance to burn enemies on hit. Using ice skills moves it in the other direction, enchanting your weapons with ice damage and a chance to slow enemies. The Shadow class also has a power bar with 2 directions, but instead of fire and ice spells, the class uses melee and ranged attacks. Using melee attacks will move it more in one direction and gives you bonus damage on your next ranged attack. This encourages players to switch back and forth to make the most of this mechanic. However, you don't have to play this way and can just use fire skills as an elemental or only ranged attacks as a shadow if you choose. As potion drops seem to be random as well, you will often be waiting for your health to regenerate if you are short on potions. Another reason why the Vanguard, with its high health regeneration, is the easiest to play. While the game is short, about 5 hours long, multiple playthroughs, the co-op mode, and the endless mode can extend the enjoyment of the game. For co-op mode, you need a second pair of Joy-Cons or Pro Controllers to play. In endless mode, you can choose your difficulty and are given a max level character to go through rooms of random enemies you encounter in the game. You will start with all the skills unlocked and 14 stat points which you are free to allocate to your liking. You don't start with any equipment other than a weapon, but every 4 rooms or so you will be provided with a chest that has an opportunity to drop armor and weapons, which you'll need to use as you fight through a combination of enemies encountered throughout the game. This is also helpful for new players that want to try a new skill or are unsure how spending stat points will affect their character in the main story. I played the game on the Switch and would not recommend it on this platform for two reasons. The first is the way the button layout is set. Unlike the PC version or the console version, the way you use your skills is very awkward. You press A to use your skill, but instead of being able to map other skills to other buttons, you need to press Y to shuffle to the next skill. This leads to using the wrong skill often, or slows down the use of skills altogether. Based on the screenshots of the PC and console version, it looks like the Switch version is the only one that does it this way. I wish the game added a way to map your skills to specific buttons, which seems like the norm in most games these days, especially since many of the buttons are not even utilized. Also, the health and mana bar is located in the upper left corner of the screen, which I wanted to move closer to the center. The game shows the damage you inflict on enemies, but not the damage you take. So many times I would die not knowing I was taking so much damage from ranged or caster enemies. And once you die, you have to start the whole level over, which is a bit annoying since there are no checkpoints during the mission. There are virtually no side quests or any character development. You get one mission from the town hub, complete it, and return for a new one. The writing of the secret messages left on the stages also feel out of place. I'm not sure if all these secret messages are written by the savages you are fighting or the prior inhabitants that used to occupy these areas. The casual modern tone that the messages are written in do not reflect the industrial gothic setting that the game takes place. The boss battles, which there are 3, are interesting when you first encounter them, but become tedious as they all boil down to the same boring tactic, which is waiting for them to attack, go in for a couple hits, then run back to avoid being hit, and then repeat over and over again. The last problem, which may or may not only be a problem with the Switch version, is that the game suffers frequently from crashes. In my first playthrough, I experienced only 2 to 3 crashes, but while trying to beat it again with the other classes, the game would crash about every 30 minutes to an hour randomly. Again, because the game can't be saved during a mission, it's extremely frustrating when the game crashes when you're almost done with the mission while exploring all the areas of the map. In my experience, the game plays the same in both docked as well as handheld mode. I couldn't tell a difference in performance. However, in both modes, the game seems to suffer from slowing or frame rate issues. It doesn't really depend on how many enemies are on the screen, but the game does randomly stutter, which makes it hard to dodge, block, or switch weapons in the thick of battle. Overall, the game is entertaining while it lasts, but I don't see myself returning after beating the game with all 3 classes. The game can definitely be improved and would deserve a higher score if it fixed some of these issues or added more content. For a game in its genre, I would say this game is below average, and I would give it a grade of a D. If you are looking for a game that is more ARPG focused, I would suggest games like Diablo 3 or Path of Exile. If you want a good side-scrolling beat-em-up, 2 games that come to mind are Scott Pilgrim vs. the World or A King's Tale, Final Fantasy XV. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe as it helps the channel a lot. And see you all in the next video.